Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something historic in Japanese politics. On February 8th, 2020, Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something historic in Japanese. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something historic in Japanese politics. On February 8th, 2026, the House of Representatives election delivered a stunning result. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party didn't just win, it secured more than two-thirds of the seats. A supermajority, a constitutional-level mandate. So what does that actually mean? Is this simply another LDP victory in a country long dominated by one party? Or is this the beginning of a new political era in Japan, one that could reshape domestic reform, economic strategy, security policy, and Japan's position between the United States and China? Let's break it down calmly and analytically, not as cheerleaders, not as critics, but as observers trying to understand what comes next. First, the domestic political impact. A two-thirds majority in Japan's lower house is not just symbolic. It has real institutional consequences. It means the ruling party can override the upper house in certain cases. It means legislation moves faster. And most importantly, it opens the door to constitutional revision. For years, constitutional reform, especially regarding Article 9, has been discussed, debated, and politically sensitive. Now, for the first time under Takaichi's leadership, the numbers are there to move beyond discussion. Will she pursue formal revision of Article 9? Possibly. But the smarter prediction is this: she may move incrementally. Rather than a dramatic rewrite, expect legal reinterpretations, expanded self-defense force authorities, and clearer integration with U.S. operational planning. Politically, this result strengthens Takaichi inside her own party. Remember, LDP leadership can be internally competitive. A landslide victory gives her leverage over party factions. It consolidates her authority. That reduces internal resistance to bold policy moves. But here's the key question. Does a supermajority equal social consensus? Not necessarily. Japan's voter turnout remains moderate. A strong parliamentary majority does not automatically mean overwhelming public ideological alignment. Takaichi's challenge domestically will be managing polarization, particularly around security and defense policy. Now let's talk about the economy. Japan enters 2026 facing structural realities: an aging population, labor shortages, high public debt, supply chain vulnerability, and geopolitical economic fragmentation. With a powerful mandate, the government now has room to pursue three major economic directions. First, defense spending expansion. Japan has already committed to increasing defense spending toward 2% of GDP. With this mandate, we should expect steady follow-through. That means domestic defense industry growth, increased procurement, joint development with the United States, and potentially greater investment in cyber and space capabilities. This has macroeconomic implications. Defense spending stimulates certain sectors: advanced manufacturing, semiconductors, aerospace, but it also pressures fiscal sustainability. Japan's debt-to-GDP ratio is already among the highest in the developed world. Financing expansion without destabilizing bond markets will require careful coordination with the Bank of Japan. Second, industrial policy and economic security. Expect a stronger emphasis on supply chain resilience, especially in semiconductors, rare earths, advanced materials, and AI-related infrastructure. Japan will likely deepen coordination with the United States and Europe on export controls and critical technology frameworks. But here's the balancing act. China remains Japan's largest trading partner, so Tokyo cannot afford total decoupling. Instead, expect what economists call selective de-risking. Critical sectors become protected, non-sensitive trade continues. Third, labor and demographic reform. A landslide victory gives political space for uncomfortable conversations. Immigration reform in Japan is always delicate, but incremental expansion of skilled foreign labor pathways may become more visible. Digital transformation, AI automation, and female workforce participation policies will likely accelerate. Now let's shift to foreign policy. The election result will be closely watched in Washington. From a U.S. perspective, this is reassuring. A strong, stable Japanese government aligned with security expansion fits neatly into U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy. Expect tighter operational integration, expanded joint exercises, and possibly deeper coordination on Taiwan contingency planning. Will this make Japan more assertive in the region? Yes, but carefully so. Japan does not seek confrontation. It seeks deterrent stability. The difference matters. Now let's talk about China. Beijing will interpret this result through a strategic lens. Takaichi is widely perceived as hawkish compared to some of her predecessors. A supermajority may be seen as a green light for more proactive security alignment with the United States. That could increase diplomatic friction. However, and this is crucial, economic interdependence acts as a stabilizer. China needs Japanese technology and investment. Japan needs market access and supply continuity. So rather than immediate deterioration, expect a period of cautious recalibration. Diplomatically, Japan may adopt firmer rhetorical positions on Taiwan and regional security while maintaining economic dialogue channels. The relationship becomes colder politically, but remains structurally connected economically. Speaking of Taiwan, what does this mean there? A two-thirds majority strengthens Japan's deterrence credibility. If Japan signals clearer contingency coordination with the United States, that raises the strategic cost of aggression in the Taiwan Strait. However, Japan must manage escalation carefully. Any perception of automatic military entanglement increases risk exposure. Expect Tokyo to refine language, supporting stability, supporting deterrence, but avoiding explicit automatic commitment. Now let's look at Southeast Asia and the broader Indo-Pacific. Countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, Indonesia, and India will likely view a stronger Japan positively. Japan's role as a middle power balancing force grows. Infrastructure financing, maritime capacity building, and defense cooperation may expand. Japan's soft power remains strong. This election result may accelerate its transformation into a more overt strategic actor. Now let's examine financial markets. Short-term, political stability is generally positive for investor confidence. A decisive mandate reduces policy uncertainty. The yen's performance will depend more on monetary policy divergence and global interest rates, but political clarity helps. However, if defense spending and fiscal expansion accelerate without revenue reform, bond markets may begin to scrutinize sustainability. The Bank of Japan's policy normalization trajectory becomes relevant here. Coordination between fiscal expansion and monetary normalization will be delicate. Another domestic dimension, media and civil society. With overwhelming parliamentary power comes responsibility. How Takaichi manages dissent, press freedom narratives, and civic debate will shape international perceptions. Japan's global brand is built not only on stability, but on democratic credibility. A strong majority is powerful, but power must be handled with transparency. Now let's zoom out. What does this election mean symbolically? It signals that Japanese voters, at least in aggregate parliamentary outcome, are prioritizing stability, security clarity, and assertive governance in a turbulent geopolitical era. The world is fragmenting. The US-China rivalry is structural. Russia remains active. Global supply chains are politicized. In that context, voters may have chosen decisiveness over ambiguity. But here's the real long-term question. Can Japan maintain strategic balance while becoming more explicit? For decades, Japan practiced strategic ambiguity, especially around Taiwan and regional security commitments. A supermajority government may gradually reduce that ambiguity. Is that stabilizing or destabilizing? That depends on execution. If Japan increases clarity while strengthening deterrence and maintaining economic dialogue, it could enhance regional stability. If rhetoric outpaces coordination or domestic consensus, it could increase friction. The coming years will test political skill as much as ideology. So, what should global viewers watch next? Watch constitutional reform debates. Watch defense budget allocations. Watch Japan-China diplomatic tone shifts. Watch US-Japan joint statements. Watch BOJ policy moves. Watch how Southeast Asia responds. And perhaps most importantly, watch domestic approval ratings 6 months from now. A landslide victory begins a chapter. It does not guarantee the ending. Japan now stands at an inflection point, empowered politically, pressured economically, and strategically central in the Indo-Pacific. Prime Minister Takaichi's historic supermajority gives her the tools. Whether she reshapes Japan's trajectory or simply reinforces existing trends will depend on execution, coalition management, and global shocks we cannot yet predict. This election is not just about Japan. It is about how middle powers navigate great power rivalry in the 21st century. And the world is watching. Thanks for staying with me through this deep dive. If you found this analysis useful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. How do you think this historic victory will shape Japan's future and its role in the world? I'll see you in the next video.